you're always gonna grin. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. Never gonna lose, never gonna win. As long as you're happy, you're always gonna grin. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in.
Here we are live on a Monday, and today we have got Claire Cahill joining live on LinkedIn. Hello, Claire. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And I'm glad to see you're in your yellow branded colours and I'm in my orange branded colours.
And they're both great positive colours. Look, I've even got a water bottle that matches. And I've just purchased a new coat. Guess what colour I went for?
Yellow?
Absolutely.
I've even come with my Tigger mug.
Oh, fantastic.
That's what I'm like when I'm in a room. I just bounce around with all of my energy.
Brilliant. And we were just having a little chat in the green room. I don't know why we call it the green room. We should call it the yellow room. But hey, everybody knows what I'm talking about. And you really are very positive, Claire. So I'm going to dig into that because people keep asking me why I'm so positive. So we're going to talk. It's going to be a positive show today. But first of all, tell everybody who you are, what you do, and where you are, please.
Yeah, so my name's Claire Cahill. I'm based in Chesterfield in Derbyshire, which is the home of the Crooked Spire. And I am a confidence and leadership coach. So anybody who sees me on LinkedIn will know that I'm very much no nonsense. So Ascendo is the Latin for ignite. And that's what I do. And I work with my coaching clients, ignite their potential to be their best self with my no nonsense approach.
Fantastic. What do you call no nonsense then? Without swearing.
Nonsense. So it's a little bit of just do it. Take the action that you need to take. You've got this great idea. How can you now make it come to fruition? What are the strategic steps or the small steps that you need to take to make it happen? And I'll be that trusted confidant that walks along with them whilst they take that action.
Okay. And you also work with personality testing. What are your thoughts on personality testing? Break into that, please.
So there's lots of different personality profiles around. So most people will have heard of Myers-Briggs, there's Tetramap, there's Insights, but I like DISC. And the reason why I like DISC is because that was introduced to me as part of my coaching training. And I just think it combines all of the other models together and just makes it really simplistic. So people are typically either outgoing or reserved. They're typically people focused or they're task focused. There's no right or wrong. It's just about our preferences. And I always do a DISC profile with clients, the very first coaching session that I have with them. So I can get to know them in minutes rather than months. And I can then adapt my communication preferences to theirs to get them moving a lot quicker than us fumbling about with how best to communicate with people.
That makes an awful lot of sense. So you use DISC to make you more efficient when working with your clients. Do you use it for anything else?
Yeah, I use it on my Ignite Your Potential program. And again, I use it with teams. So again, we all need different personalities within a team because goodness gracious, if there was more than one Claire Cahill in a team or if there was more than one Ashley Leeds in a team, it would be complete chaos. So it's about making sure that within teams, we play to people's strengths. But again, I've used it in my family. So even in my family, I know what all of my children's and my husband's DISC profiles are. We're all different. And it's interesting that when we communicate, sometimes we butt heads because we're just not communicating effectively with each other. Other times we just have really rich, vibrant conversations because we're talking the right language to one another.
Yeah. Okay. So for someone that's never taken a DISC profile or any personality test or something, how does it work?
Okay. So I just send them a link. There are 25 questions in total. Yeah. And I just encourage people to answer with their intuitive response. So not to overthink it, but to go with, yeah, this is more like me, this is least like me. And it should take about no longer than 7 minutes. If it takes you longer than 7 minutes, the system just times out, because then you're not going to get a true reading. Once you've answered all of the questions, I then get an 18-page report which tells me everything that I need to know about that individual. And I shared your report with you the other day, so you've been through that process, so you know what it's like.
Absolutely. I think it's absolutely fascinating how a few questions can lead to something. And so you turn around and say, there's the questions, and then you come back, blah, 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 blah. Because you've been doing this a while, all right, when you meet people, do you sort of like think, yeah, they're probably this or they're probably that? And the other thing is, I'm a little bit worried because there's like 8 billion people in the world. We can't just be 4 different personality types, can we?
No, I think we're all a combination. So you had your combination, I've got my combination. But there's things that are strategically the same about us all. So I know when I go networking, I can look around a room and you'll typically get a feel for who's the outgoing people, who are the more reserved people. But we know that we can behave differently in public to how we behave in private. So if we're at a networking meeting, you might have to be more outgoing than what you naturally would be. So it's only then when you start to build relationships with people and you start to have conversations, I'll listen out for words that people might use that would then give me an indication as to, yeah, this is their preferences.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. So without doing my DISC profile, what would you say I was? Because you've seen me on LinkedIn, we've spoken before and all that sort of stuff. What would you say I was, or just guessing?
So I would have said
intuitively from it's not guessing, is it? You've got an idea.
Yeah, so from intuitively, from seeing you, I would say you're very high energy, you're very people focused, you're very giving. So you give without expecting anything in return. You are all about your community and about the team and about what value can you add. So again, then when we've had conversations, that has then continued because it's very much, so how can I best help and support you? And you never, ever want anything in return. And that is what that supportive S character is. But also, I know that you have your downtime as well, where you probably I've spoke to people all week. I now just want my weekend where I don't want to speak to anybody and I just want to
This was last night.
Cabin.
This was last night at 5:15, right? Okay. My daughter phoned me. She said, I've just put my door up and it's not closing. And I went, sweetie, I really can't do anything now. And I said, I can do it Thursday. She goes, yeah, but what about the dog? So I jumped in the car, put my tools in the bag, and I went up there and fixed her door. So yeah, but you do, don't you, for your kids? But yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah. So all right, I'm going to come back to DISC in a second, but as a coach and making people shine, surely I should be making some money out of what I'm doing. And this is my biggest problem. It's because I don't like, oh yeah, I do that. And it's like, oh, I could have charged for that. And my wife says to me, and I turn around, oh, I spoke to someone really lovely today. She said, how much did you charge? Well, I didn't. So what would you say then? Putting your bum kicking coach mode on, what should I be doing?
Well, this is a conversation that I have with my coach all of the time, because again, I think when we are naturally those people, does that make sense? So you're naturally a giving person. So it's about, for me, I'd shine a light off. So what value have you actually given to that person, and what is your expertise that you've just given away? How, if you was to package that, what would be the value of that? What would be the worth? And sometimes it's about, we start off small before we go large. And certainly one of the things that I've worked with my coaches is that actually there's only 24 hours in a day, and as I call my business, I want to work less and earn more. Now that would be the dream. And so how do you do that? So that's what coaching does. It creates that safe space for you to be vulnerable, for you to explore what's getting in the way, what's your mindset that is stopping you doing the thing that you want to do. And that's where I come in and as a coach and start to unpick that, because we'll all have beliefs. Those beliefs will have been from childhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those beliefs can be changed. As I saw last night when I was watching Inside Out 2 with my family, and I was like,
no, you didn't, did you? I watched 1 last night. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Because my daughter's just watched 2, so we haven't seen 2, so we thought we'd watch 1 first. It's my wife and I sat in the living room watching a cartoon on the Disney Channel.
Yeah. But it's just proof that
isn't it incredible?
All of our emotions need to live in harmony. You can't have one without the other. And thinking back to Inside Out 1, you can't have joy without sadness. No. But why do we try and repel sadness as much as what we do?
And I think that was a good point made in that movie, wasn't it?
Yeah. We have to have anger, because I'm not positive all of the time, and this is where I suppose with DISC, one of the things that I say to my coaching clients to test DISC is I do the shadow I cast exercise. So I'll say to my clients, go out and ask those nearest and dearest to you, what is it like to be around you at your best? And hear all of the good stuff. And then flip it and ask them, what is it like to be around me at my worst? Because that is then testing whether your DISC profile is right. So when I went and did that, I went out to my family, because family never hold back. And I said to my husband and kids, what is it like to be around me at my best? And my husband said, Claire, you're the heartbeat of the family. And I went, oh my God, that is the most beautiful thing you've said, but what does that actually mean? And he did describe Tigger in a room. He said, you're fun to be around, you're spontaneous, you have everything organized, you're in control. And I said, okay, then, so just give it to me. What is it like to be around me at my worst? And he said, you're just a dominant, demanding red dragon in a whirlwind that says, just do it. And I said, yes, because my patience button is being pushed. And that was just that classic example from Inside Out, where anger and joy also live together quite harmoniously, because sometimes you do have to say, look, my patience is now running thin. I've been on constant repeat, and I really struggle to ask for help, and I'm asking for help, and therefore my expectation is that I get it, and that's then when my dragon comes out. But but again, that's why people work with me, because it's about, right, Claire, I need that good kick up the backside. I need your dragon just to come out temporarily, just to say, right, you said last week you were going to do X, Y, and Z. Why are we still having the same conversation this week? Conversation. I wanted you to share with me what challenges you've overcome and how you've overcome them, and let's celebrate the success. But actually, if this is a reoccurring pattern, what needs to change?
Yeah. Love it. Okay, so helpful, giving away loads of stuff. That's what you think. What did my DISC profile say?
So your DISC profile confirmed that you are that reserved people person that is a great team player, is really supportive, encouraging, nurturing. You do have that high energy and bring that positivity. And what was interesting to look at on your graphs, how you behave in the public arena is the same as how you behave in the mirror, apart from your C was really low. So we maybe don't see your attention to detail in that public arena, probably because we don't need to. But those who are closer to you might see that more of that attention to detail. But then what's interesting is that when you're stressed, your I, which is my Tigger, because so I'm a high I, really comes out. So that need for you to feel involved in any decision making, that's then where you will become even more high energy. Show me that you care, which is your S, but it actually involve me in the decision making, because I'm now quite stressed. So to reduce that stress level, if you involve me in that decision making, I'll get back down to my normal level or preferred levels.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. That's and the thing is with the disc profile, there's loads of stuff that I need to go and have a read of, because it's a proper report. It's really, really useful. So thank you very much for that. How does somebody get that disc reading if they want a disc reading then, Claire?
Yeah, so they can reach out to me on LinkedIn or on my website, and I can do them the disc profile, and then I would have a coaching session with them after that. So I would charge for that service, because that is my time.
Yeah, absolutely.
As well as the report, but it's also a stepping stone to seeing, actually, is Claire a coach that I would want to work with? So by making that small investment of having the disc profile, they get to have that hour's coaching session with me. And if nothing else, they still get an 18-page report all about them that they can use in whatever way they want to. If then they choose to work with me, we'll then have that discussion around, so what does that actually look like in terms of packages, and what is it further that they want from the coaching sessions.
Yeah. So, if you're sat watching this, or you're listening to this on the podcast, and you're sort of like thinking, oh, that resonates with me, and I know maybe I am a little bit this and a little bit that, you'll confirm all of that, won't you? And then you'll be able to sort of like say, look, you're at the moment where you're at, you're a square peg in a round hole. You need to find somewhere where it's a round hole. And is that the sort of thing you do?
Yeah. And again, so whether somebody's employed or self-employed, it's about, right, so if somebody's employed, it's about, right, you can use your CV now to almost lift and shift some of the detail that's in the disc profile, and use it with confidence to know this is true, this is who I am. So again, put on your LinkedIn profile, this is who I am. In your bio, you can use the words that are captured out of there. Or even if you're self-employed, so again, when I've used this with web designers, with marketeers and people who do branding, it's like, right, we'll get people's disc profile and look at what it says about them, and then build their website around their profile, because we know that to be true.
Yeah, no, I love that. So you're Bouncy, you're Tigger. I often get called Tigger. I think my new nickname might be Joy after watching that movie. And so we're pretty similar. My wife despairs of me sometimes, because I'm just sort of like, she wakes up in the morning, oh, hi sweetie, how are you? We're going to do this, and she's sort of like, oh, just give me a break. Is it same in your house?
Yes. So it's interesting, because my eldest son will say, oh, you have a better relationship with my younger brother. And it's not that I have a favourite, although my youngest would say, Mum, you do have a favourite, and I am the favourite. It's just that he is very much people focused. So he will have really rich conversations with me about behaviour. He'll be a high energy. If he gets stressed, his little dragon will come out. Whereas my eldest son is more reserved. So I know that I can be too much for that reserved person. He is very much detailed. So if we go on a car journey, he'll want to know every single step of the way. Whereas I'll be like, oh, it's a magical mystery tour. We've just put the sat nav on and we'll get there when we get there.
See what happens. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's where I can be too much for people. But yeah, what's is that they have picked up on my behavior. So if I do go quiet or I do go in my shell, even my eldest son will now say, are you all right, Mum?
Yeah.
I'll go, yeah, why? Well, you're not doing anything. You're just sat doing nothing. And I'm like, yeah, Tigger has stopped bouncing. I'm just all bounced out and I just need time to rest, recover. And yeah, sometimes he'll find that really, really strange. And he'll be like, oh, you're a little bit like me at this moment in time then. Do you not want to have a conversation? And I'm like, no, I'm quite happy just to sit here and do nothing. But yeah, I know that I can be too much for people with my high energy and bouncing about. And it's normally my husband that will just say, Claire, let's just have a minute. Let's just catch up where we are. But yeah, but we do work well together.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It can be too. I do know I'm too much. I really do. So in my song that I started the show with, you get out what you put in. One of the verses is, I wake up every morning and I bounce around the bed. And literally I do. So people ask me why I'm so positive or what makes me positive. So I'm going to ask you the very same question. What makes you positive, Claire?
Well, I think mine goes right back to childhood. So we've got quite a large family, but all of the children before me were boys. So I was the eldest daughter, the eldest granddaughter. And so to get my voice heard in a male dominant environment, I had to be different to everybody else. And, you know, we get one life and we just have to live it. And I think that's where my positivity comes from. And I'm so determined that, you know, it's about, right, well, if I'm going to do a job, I'm going to do it really well. And I frequently, you know, talk about the word impossible. And I truly believe that that does mean I'm possible. Because if somebody says to me, you can't do it, I'll go, watch me, I'll prove otherwise. And that's where my positivity comes from.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because you turn around to people and you go, oh, I'm not sure whether I do this or not do that. And they go, well, you'll never be able to do that. Oh, thank you. Now I know what I'm going to do. And it's I had a chat with a very well-known and respected business coach, and he turned around to me and he said, you're wasting your time doing LinkedIn. You need to be doing Instagram and TikTok and all the others as well. And I went, no, I just want to be a LinkedIn specialist. Not only I've got to clear that's not going to work. He's not going to Canada to do a talk on LinkedIn, is he? and this is the thing. So as a coach then, Claire, you'll have a client that will turn around to you and go, oh, I can't do this. We're talking Eeyore now, aren't we? I can't do this, and that's going to be against me. And this is, and I can't. What do you say to Eeyore in those situations, Claire?
Well, I'll just say, where's the evidence to prove that to be true? Because is it story? Is it fact? And how can we change? I say we as in the royal we, but how can you change that narrative? Because is that narrative serving you? And if so, in what way? And if not, are you prepared to change the narrative? And it's interesting how you talk about Eeyore, because I frequently used to say to my mum, oh gosh, you're Eeyore and I'm Tigger, but Eeyore still had a group of friends. And again, I think this is where you need both. And again, you know, the things that I've learned from my mum was, you know, she was career driven. She was a working mum. And, you know, 50 years ago, a mother's place was at home. Well, she went against all of the status quo and went back to work full time. So even though sometimes I'll say, oh, Mom, why do you always look at the dark side of life? Why do you always look at the negative rather than the positive? Actually, there's so much that she did to prove that actually I can be a really good mum and I can have a career. And I think that's where I get it from. So I sometimes, you know, watch other people's behavior. So how much of my behavior is learnt behavior from my mum and how much of it have I chose to change? And again, how much of my behavior am I then going to pass on to my children, and how much of that learned behavior will they choose to change later on?
Yeah. Have you heard of a guy called Mo Gaudat?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, happiness. Is it something that we can choose to be?
I believe we can choose to be happy because we create our own happiness from life choices that we make. We can get up in the morning and we can choose to go to our own pity party. And don't get me wrong, some mornings I've been to my own pity party, but I don't stay there very long because it's not a nice place to be. Or we can choose to get out of bed and think, right, whatever life's got in store for me today, I have a choice to make. And have I been given a gift? It's a little bit like feedback, isn't it? I always say feedback's a gift. We can choose to unwrap it, or we can choose to leave it unopened. Well, I think that is what life is. Life is a gift, and we can choose how we want to live that life. And we can either live it positively or we can live it negatively. But I firmly believe that we can choose happiness.
Yeah, absolutely. For anybody that doesn't know who Mo Gaudat is, just check him out. He's written an amazing book called Solve for Happy. He's an engineer and he's developed an algorithm for or a formula for happiness. And it just makes sense, doesn't it, Claire?
Absolutely. Yeah. I always say when life throws you lemons, make lemonade.
Absolutely. Or chuck it in a gin and tonic or something.
Absolutely.
That's what I
lemons are always better with gin.
Yeah. So look, this is a 30-minute show and we're almost at the end. All right. I know you've got a question for me, but I've got one more question for you. What haven't we asked you, Claire?
Oh, what haven't you asked me? What is next on my 50 experiences at 50 list?
Go on then.
So my husband is taking.
So you can't be 50 for a start.
I am 50. Yeah. So
be right.
Yeah, I do have a 50 experiences that I'm going to do in my 50th year. And
fantastic.
Yeah, my next experience is with my husband this weekend, and he's taking me to Italy to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa and to go to Florence. So I'll be drinking limoncello spritz. Yeah, the limoncello spritz, which is your colour, and drinking wine and eating.
You have to have an Aperol spritz as well because that's your colour, isn't it?
Yeah, Aperol spritz. Yeah.
We want to see that photo of you stood there pointing into midair, and obviously hubby's stood so that you're holding the tower up. That I'm looking forward to seeing that. What a great thing to do.
Next week.
Yeah, perfect. Claire, you've been absolutely delightful. I can't believe the time's gone really, really quickly. So I've got one more question for you. But before we do that, I just want to give a shout out to Samantha, who's on with me next week. She's coming in to talk about R&D, which is research and development. So there she is. She will be with me next week on the 21st of October. So this is live and linking. What LinkedIn question do you have for me today then, please, Claire?
What's the difference between following and connecting?
I love this question. So if you follow me, you will see all of my content, but I will not see any of your content. Okay. The other thing is you will not be able to send me a message and I won't be able to send you a message. But if we're connected, then we can DM each other. Okay. And we will see each other's content. So the follow button is an easy route to getting connected with somebody without having to overcommit. Because the thing is, it's not like, I want to connect with Claire. She was on that show that I saw with Ashley the other day, but she seems too nice and she won't want to connect with me. So if I follow you, I still get to see what you're up to because I think you're brilliant, but I haven't had that awkward, oh no, I don't want to connect with you. Who are you? Yeah. But now you've seen me following you. If you go to your follower list on LinkedIn, you can turn around and go, hey, I see that you followed me. Why don't we connect? And you've made that introduction an awful lot easier.
That's really, really interesting because I did wonder because I always reach out and connect with people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nicer, isn't it, Claire?
Yeah. And I always do it with a message about, I saw you at such and such. part of that is a memory jogger for me, but also to make it easier for that person. But I've seen people follow me and I'm thinking, oh, why have you not reached out to connect? But that's now for me to reach out and connect.
Absolutely. So in your network bit on LinkedIn, there's a thing that says followers, and you can see all the followers and basically just go in regularly and go, oh, that's new. Why aren't they? You go and have a look at their network, go and see who they are. And oh, perfect. They're not going to say no if you reach out and connect with them, because they already know you, because they're already following you. And what happens is in the first 2 weeks of them following you or connecting with you, they're going to see an awful lot more of your content. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
That's a great question, Claire. Thanks ever so much indeed. Claire, thank you so much for coming on. If anyone wants a DIS profile or want to have a chat with you, how do they find you?
Yeah, so they can find me on LinkedIn, or they can go over to my website, which is www.ascendocoaching.co.uk.
Perfect. Claire, thank you very much indeed. And we'll be back next week with Samantha. Cheerio, everybody. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
You get out what you put in, never gonna lose.